What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and this video, I want to talk about how will Ahsoka be introduced in The Mandalorian Season 2. So we've talked about, whether that mystery girl was actually Sabine, whether it was just some, could be an Inquisitor, it could be, whoever. We talked about that. We've talked about, I still think very likely that lightsaber, the Hasbro lightsaber, that's very much teasing what Rosario Dawson is going to look like in The Mandalorian. And, I think I maybe teased in that one as well. How will they actually go about bringing her into the show? And there's a couple different aspects of this. I kind of, the way I want to focus it mainly is like, are we going to see her in a trailer? Are we going to see her in like a preview of an episode? Or are we just going to jump right in and is she going to be in the beginning, middle, end, which episode, so on and so on. So there are a couple things to talk about here. Really quickly though, if you guys do like these videos, if you guys like my Mandalorian stuff, make sure you guys like this, actually give it a like, and make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel, have the bell icon turned on. As we get closer to The Mandalorian, I'm definitely going to be doing many, many more videos, and I'll be covering it throughout the entire run of the show. So look, one of the things I think we have to look at first is the writers. Now, writers are very important, okay, especially in TV shows, and especially with TV shows, a lot of times they will jump around. It won't be the same writer, won't be even the same like director or producer for every single one. But we know who is writing each episode of The Mandalorian Season 2. And we have chapter 9 through 12, all Jon Favreau. Now, I think he did a phenomenal job with Season 1, so it's not like I'm worried about that. But you look at chapter 13, Dave Filoni. Now, that's odd, right? But Dave Filoni, again, there's really not anybody else you should trust with Star Wars besides maybe George Lucas himself. That one, in my mind, could be it. The question is, how much of a presence is Ahsoka actually going to have in this show? They made such a, well, I shouldn't say, they made such a big deal of this Rosario Dawson and Ahsoka thing, but in reality, they have been very tight-lipped. I mean, it's really the world's worst-kept secret. I mean, people have asked her point blank, and she said, like, oh, she would love to be in it, and, there were castings, or there was, remember, like, the posters of, like, all the characters, and it had, like, Chloe Bennett could be in this thing, but then they came out and said, well, that's not necessarily official, like, we're not going to say if that's actually true, or we're just going to ignore it altogether. So, it is Star Wars' worst-kept secret, okay? Now, the question is, because you have a lot to do in this season. We know there's going to be a lot of things that are going on this season. We know, like, Boba Fett's going to return, all this stuff. I mean, it's not even just, if you think about it, it's not even just Ahsoka who could be, visually in this. I mean, you have Boba Fett. You could have Ezra, right? There's a lot of talk that that's a possibility as well. So, I mean, there could be multiple characters that we already know. Maybe you could call them legacy. I don't want to bring up the word legacy characters because we know what JJ and Rian Johnson do to legacy characters, but luckily they're not tied to this. There's going to be a lot of them potentially in the show. I feel like the Dave Filoni episode makes the most sense because of his connection to Clone Wars and Rebels, and obviously that connection even with Ahsoka right there, but it doesn't have to mean it. What it could mean too, it could mean that's the first episode she's in. Okay, that's where she gets introduced. I mean, do you really trust anybody else as much as you would trust Dave Filoni to do it? Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, he obviously, it's, kind of like his Star Wars at this point is basically like his child, right? Everybody should, as we've said, probably answer to him, okay? If Kathleen Kennedy did that, then the movies would have been much, much better, okay? So he could do that. At the same time, he could be directing or writing the most pivotal episode for, so maybe Ahsoka gets introduced 2 episodes before then, and then, that episode is just a really, really big moment, or, whatever, for Ahsoka's character. We know there's going to be more seasons of The Mandalorian seasons 3 and 4. Remember, there was a lot of talk that this was like the year of Ahsoka with Clone Wars, but not just Clone Wars, really. It was the future. Remember, there was even a lot of talk of a potential another like Ahsoka and Sabine, animated show, okay, taking place after Rebels. There was even talk of that. Honestly, I would not even put that past them, which we know, by the way, Disney is putting more into the streaming, service. Could very well happen, could very well be a thing that happens in the future. So there's going to be a lot of Ahsoka. I doubt Ahsoka's gone at the end of the season, like she's going to die, or they're just going to get rid of her. Whether she's a main character in seasons 3 and 4, or whether she maybe it's like a reoccurring thing, but maybe she's doing her own stuff. And again, even like Rosario Dawson, there has been rumors that she's signed on for multiple projects. That's not just Mandalorian. That there could be other stuff that Ahsoka would visually, like again physically, appear in. So there's some options there. I feel like again that chapter that Dave Filoni is writing could very well be it. At the same time, she could be earlier. But one final other thing, like I said, we've gotten some teases, I guess you can call them teaser trailers, and we've gotten a trailer. No Ahsoka. I really think you would keep that quiet. And I think they're doing this. I think this is probably the best way that they can do it, keeping it very quiet until it happens. I think that we're probably, I don't know if you'd even start an episode with Ahsoka. And I get it, this isn't, can you consider this television? This is it's like a streaming service thing. But the way they're doing it here, okay, with weekly things, I would feel like leaving an episode knowing that Ahsoka's, or having Ahsoka appear basically in the last shot or last like 5 minutes of an episode, really for a TV show or again anything like this is a big deal, because then you have people talking about it literally nonstop for an entire week until you get the next episode, and then you can build on that and you keep going. So I would imagine a couple things. One, Ahsoka does not get shown, hopefully not leaked either, because at this point, like again, the lightsaber thing aside, I don't want to see like a leaked picture of her. They've kept it very, very tight-lipped already. Why break it now? I would like to see it, and again, I think they will see it, or they will do it this way, where we won't have any indication she's coming, and then all of a sudden, one random episode, we get her at the end. Again, I think the ending makes the most sense. They could do the beginning. I mean, that would obviously be give us the introduction, and then give us an entire episode with Ahsoka in it. But I just feel like especially the way this show goes, a lot of shows go, I think it makes the most sense. Show her right at the end, get people talk. I mean, literally, the internet will explode when that happens, and then the next episode, you see her, and you continue the journey that way. So that's how I think it's going to work. Now, again, Dave Filoni is writing the 5th episode of this thing. There's only 8 episodes in all. He is writing episode 5, or they call them chapters. So he's writing technically chapter 13. There's chapters 9 through 12 before it. I don't think we would get her in like the first 2. We'd be looking more towards the middle at anything. I would expect maybe chapter 11 or 12. That'll be kind of my official prediction. I'll say somewhere in the 11 or 12 chapter range, and then we'll see. If she appears before 13, I would expect chapter 13 to be a pretty big deal. I think it would be actually a pretty awesome thing if she appears at chapter 13. Then it's up to the rest of them for chapters 14 through 16 to kind of wrap it up and figure out where they're going from there. Okay, so let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? When do you think Ahsoka? Which chapter do you think she'll end up appearing in? Beginning, middle, end? What do you think? How do you think she's actually going to appear? We didn't really talk about that. Maybe the hooded figure, whether that's Sabine or whether that's somebody completely different. Maybe that person leads Mando to her. We'll have to see how that plays out. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And thank you all so much for watching. I truly do appreciate it. More Mandalorian videos coming very, very soon. And I hope to see you all on those videos.